Hi guys, welcome to our channel. If you're new here or if you're one of our returning 5 viewers, welcome back. My name is Wmmy. I'm one of the 4 members of the Crazy Bookish Asians, and for today I thought I'd do a video that really no one asked for, or probably only a few people are interested in, and that is the books that inspired the movie Saltburn. The reason I'm doing this video is because I'm kind of obsessed with this movie. It's written and directed by Miss Emerald Fennel, who I really love. She's like the most charming person that I've ever seen. And if you've seen her press junket when she's doing interviews for Saltburn and her previous movie, Promising Young Women, I think is the title, which is also a great movie, she just really comes across as a really charming. That's the only thing I can think of really that really describes her. She's very personable, and and you know, aside from her being such a nice person, I really did love the movie. So I thought I'd discuss the books that inspired it and whether I see the inspiration of these classics. There is a video on YouTube that where an interviewer asked Emerald about the books or movies that inspired her in writing Saltburn, and she discussed a few of them. So I picked 3 because these are the books I've really been kind of dying to read anyway. So I thought, what better excuse than to actually read these books now for this video. So the 3 books I decided to read are, I'm just gonna discuss it the way I read it, so like the chronologically anyway. So the first book I read was Brideshead Revisited by Mr. Evelyn Waugh. I always have a hard time saying his last name. Waugh, yeah. And then the next one is Rebecca, and the last one is Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. So yeah, so these are the 3 books I will be discussing. So yeah, like I said, I'll just discuss it chronologically, I guess, and how, like, the order I read them in. So the first one would be Brideshead Revisited, and this one I just bought the book, the ebook, on Amazon on Kindle, and let me tell you, there's quite a few versions of this book available. Don't buy the cheapest one. I bought the cheapest one because I thought it would be okay, but the formatting for some reason was off on that one, and there was like typos and stuff, so I had to go to the actual Penguin Random House website and follow the link from there. And if you guys are interested, I'll put the link down below if you want to buy the ebook. It's only like $1.99 Canadian plus tax, so that's pretty good. So yeah, so this one I'll talk a bit about the plot, I guess. Brideshead Revisited basically talks about Charles Ryder and his experience. It started off the prologue when he was in the war, and then he came back to the place, and then he realized it's the location of the Brideshead castle. And then from then on, it's like a flashback of his relationship with the family who owned the manor, which is a flight family. So he ended up meeting Sebastian, and then they became friends. And then when Sebastian ended up taking Charles back home with him, that's where Charles ended up meeting the rest of the family, like Julia and Cordelia and the eldest, Bridie. So yeah, so basically it's a very character-driven book. I don't want to say too much about the, or should I say spoilers? Well, I guess, you know what, this will be full of spoilers, I guess, because I'll be talking about how it ties to the movie Saltburn, and there will also be spoilers of the movie, just to let you guys know. So this was actually the book that Emerald Fennel told Jacob Elordi, who played Felix in the movie. He told Jacob Elordi to actually read this book because Sebastian is inspired. Wait, Felix is inspired by the character Sebastian in the book. Well, and basically, a lot of people say that this is like a retelling of Brideshead Revisited, the whole movie Saltburn. But I think it's obviously, you know, you can see the parallel, right? Because even Emerald Fennel admitted it, that, you know, like I guess it's kind of like in terms of the relationship between Oliver and Felix, and then the relationship with Charles and Sebastian here. But it's really, aside from that, it's a very different story compared to the actual book. So but I do see the parallel in terms of the character, like Julia, the sister in the book, is got involved with Charles in Brideshead, and in Saltburn the same thing. Oh my god, I can't remember the name of the sister. Hang on a sec. Okay, I'm back. It's Venetia. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot that name. Venetia, I guess, is comparable to Julia, the sister, because you know how Charles had a relationship with Julia, like I previously said, and then Oliver having that crazy relationship with Venetia. And then in terms of the characters, for sure, there's like a lot of parallels. Like Farley, I guess, would be like Anthony in the book, you know, like the flamboyant character. And then Jasper, oh my god, Jasper in the book, who is Charles' cousin, could be comparable to the guy who befriended Oliver in the first few scenes of the book. And also, I can't remember his name. Give me a second. Oh my god, Michael. Oh my god, that's the guy's name, Michael, who was played by Ewan Mitchell. Did I? Yes, Ewan Mitchell was the actor who played him. And like, you know, the casting obviously was really amazing too, right? That's why I love that movie. But yeah, so anyways, talking about the parallels with Brideshead Revisited and Saltburn. So aside from the characters, also the setting, Oxford University being both prevalent in the book and the movie, and then the actual setting itself with Brideshead and then Saltburn. So yeah, like definitely a lot of parallels between the two, but I would say it's not really like a retelling, right? Like it's a yeah, it's heavily inspired, I would say, but obviously not 100%, right? So don't expect the same narrative or the same kind of ending, because obviously, you know how in Saltburn almost everyone dies. Sorry, spoiler, right? And then, you know, in Brideshead it wasn't like that. So the Brideshead is more of like a well, not as crazy, I would say. So I also will say my ratings for this book at the end of the video, just in case you guys are interested. So going on to the next book, which is Rebecca by Daphe du Maurier. For sure, the oh my gosh, how do I, so Rebecca is about the main character, who we never really found out her name, and how she meets this older gentleman when she was in Morocco while being an assistant or an aide to a rich old lady. And then, you know, they kind of fall in love, and then he ends up taking her back to his place, which is Manderley. And later on, actually not later on, even especially, I mean, even from the beginning, I should say, the narrator already found out that oh my god, the guy oh my god, hang on a sec, guys. Sorry, yeah, because it's been a few weeks since I read the book, so I forgot like the name of the characters already. But Maxim de Winter is the male lead's name here, and the narrator, yeah, like I said, she was nameless throughout the book. So, you know, early on, the narrator, oh my gosh, I cannot talk, you guys. The narrator did find out that Maxim's wife Rebecca just recently passed, like a year ago, before he ended up in South France, you know, where they met. So when he took her back, there was like a lot of trepidation on her part, you know, because she was really young. And in terms of the class system, you know, like a Maxim is rich and he isn't, and she isn't. So that's one thing I forgot to mention, because even in Saltburn they did discuss the class system in England, which is not as prevalent. how do you say that word? It's not as, I mean, oh my god, is it prevalent now than it was back then when these books were written? But that was also heavily discussed in the movie. Not heavily discussed, but I think it was touched on, right? With Oliver being not as rich, you know, he doesn't have the title that Felix and Venetia and, you know, the whole family has. So anyways, yeah, so with Rebecca, the main inspiration I think that Emerald Fennel got, that she translated into the movie, was Manderley, obviously, because Saltburn also is it's a country house gothic, so she calls it the subgenre of country house in the books, and that's what kind of Saltburn is, because Saltburn basically is it's a character in itself, right? So, and that's what Manderley is in Rebecca, and even Brideshead, the Brideshead manor in Brideshead Revisited. So so the first scene that I think really captured to me like the similarity between Rebecca and Saltburn was when Oliver first came to Saltburn, and you know that wonderful scene when he was just standing at the gate, you know, that feeling that he got from you know, just being in awe of Saltburn. And in Rebecca, it was, you get the same feeling when the narrator first saw Manderley, because the narrator in Rebecca actually had a postcard of Manderley even before she met Maxim, right? So she was already in awe of the place, and then when she finally saw it, it was like, oh, you know, that same kind of awe, like I said, you know, that Oliver had in the movie. So yeah, and this one has obviously it has more of like a supernatural, not supernatural, because I mean there were really no ghosts or anything like that, but I don't know what I'm saying. But anyways, but yeah, like like for me anyways, like it's the whole essence of like the having that country house, and I think that was perfectly captured in Saltburn, as Miss de Maurier did in the book. So, and last but not the least, oh my gosh, I am like, I don't even know what I'm saying, but I just really kind of wanted to discuss these books and how it relates to the movie, how I think anyway. So, you know, obviously if there's people out there who read the book and also love the movie, they will totally have different interpretations of these things, but this is just how I saw it. And then the last one is Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. Actually, this is the first Hardy novel I've read. I've seen his poems before, like I've read them before, but in terms of his literary prose in a novel, it's the first time. And I must admit, I don't love the story itself, but the way he writes really is amazing. And I think with this one, the main influence, oh wait, I should talk about the plot again with this one. It's the story of Jude, the protagonist, and basically his life story from a young age to growing up, and how it's basically just one tragedy after another, right? He lost his parents, and not lost, like they didn't really die, but they left him. They did die in the end, but they left him to his aunt when he was really young. So he ended up working for her in a bakery, and then that's when as a kid he met this schoolmaster who influenced him into learning Latin and Greek, and then that became his like goal until the very end of his life, like just being educated basically, and you know, going to Christminster, which is basically the equivalent of Oxford, because the Wessex world of Thomas Hardy is heavily influenced by his own surrounding. And yeah, you know what, I should have done more research on that, but anyways, I know for sure that Christminster is supposed to be Oxford. And so that's a story basically, like how he ends up not really realizing his dream, because when he was 19, he ended up getting married to a woman he doesn't really love, but because she kind of tricked him, and that's Arabella. So they finally ended up separating, and then he did end up going to Christminster, where he finally met his cousin Sue, who he fell in love with. And Sue was basically very different in terms of point of view when the book started anyway, right? Like how, because Jude was more like a straight-laced kind of guy, you know, following his religious beliefs, but Sue was like the opposite. She's very more out there, I guess, in terms of not following what the dogma is, right, in terms of religion. So in the end, should I just say the biggest spoiler? Oh my gosh, I guess I should. Yeah, so warning now, biggest spoiler. So Arabella and Jude ended up having a kid that Jude just later found out, because they were like, the Arabella and the kid were in Australia, but then Arabella ended up telling Jude about the son, and then the son ended up in Jude and Sue's care. And then later on, when they had their own family, because of just what happened with Jude, like he became an invalid and was not able to work, but they ended up having more kids. So it became a really hard life for Jude and Sue in the end. And then when Sue went away to get Jude, when they went back to Christminster, I think, yeah, he was staying in a different lodging because they couldn't stay in the same place. Sorry, I don't know if this is making sense. Anyways, when Sue and Jude came back to where Sue was lodging with the kids, they found out that the son ended up killing all the other children, a boy and a girl, and then he ended up killing himself. And oh my god, that was just so, that was one of the most heartbreaking scenes I think I've read in a book. So anyways, yeah, so how it relates to the movie Saltburn is I think the very first scene, no, actually after, okay, you know how the movie starts with that fan cam almost of Jacob Elordi, right, as Felix, and then, so I basically think that's a prologue, and then the actual first scene of the movie when Oliver first came to Oxford, that was very Jude-like to me, like how he walked into the school, and you almost get that sense that, oh, you know, he felt out of place, but he's also in awe of finally being there in Oxford. I can't remember which college, because there's several colleges in Oxford, right? So did they even say it in the movie? I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, so that's how I think the movie related to the book. And well, obviously Jude and Oliver are totally different characters, right? Like Jude is very, like, he's just a tragic, very sad character, and you know, Oliver ends up being like such, you know, the devious killer that he is. But just in terms of like little scenes like that, I think and what else, every time I just see that character Oliver, you know, before we come to the end of the movie, right, you see him almost just as a sad character as well, especially when Farley would tease him and stuff like that. So that's very Jude-like to me, because I feel like Jude had the same kind of experience in terms of being just feeling alienated when he came to Christminster, and you know, when he wanted to pursue his dream, and you know, like just learning on his own without a teacher, and trying to figure out how he can get into a college without money, without any connection. And that's very Oliver-like to me. But I mean, that's where the similarity ends, just because if you've seen the movie, right, like how he ends up being such a devious, manipulative character. So yeah, anyways, in terms of the influences, obviously the most I could see it, like the most influential book in the movie Saltburn would be this, Brideshead Revisited, because even Miss Emerald Fennel said that herself. And then yeah, so Manderley, the Manderley house here, and the Saltburn connection, like the actual Saltburn house, and then Judah just with the character itself. I mean, obviously Miss Emerald Fennel didn't say, you know, like any of this stuff. This is just what I think anyways, in terms of the connection, right? So also, oh my god, Jude the Obscure, I'm pretty sure a lot of writers that I've read are heavily influenced by this book as well. And there was a Goodreads review where someone said that the character Jude in A Little Life by Hanya Hanigahara might have been inspired by this. And I've read that book too, and I totally agree in terms of just how, you know, when you think things are going well and then something tragic would happen. I feel like the Jude in that book is very similar to the Obscure. And also several scenes here also reminded me of The Secret History by Donna Tartt, especially when Jude was talking about, you know, how he was so poor and what he was going through, trying to not fit in, but trying just to, you know, find money and work when he was at Christminster. It kind of reminded me of Richard in The Secret History. So yeah, like obviously this book, I can see why it influenced a lot of writers because it is well written. But I will give you my ratings now for this 3 classics, and that is, okay, Brideshead, I believe I rated 4 stars on Goodreads, and Rebecca, I rated 5 stars. It's actually now one of my favorites because it was just so well written, and you know, like for a classic, it's very readable. And you know, if you're someone who doesn't actually read classics, I would recommend starting with this if you want to give it a go. I feel like it's more actually accessible than oh my god, Jane Austen's work. So, and this one this is the last book I read. I finished this like just a couple of days ago. This one, even though it's really well written and I actually really did like the prose, I'm giving it 3 stars just because Sue, Brideshead, the love interest here, I just didn't like her at all. I think every decision that she made was was just so frustrating to read about. Anyways, that's it. So I think, I hope this video made sense. But yeah, that's what you know, these are not the only 3 books that influence Emerald Fennel. There's other stuff that she mentioned, like Atonement and The Go-Betweens, I think, but I don't have those books, and I'm not really, they were not on my TBR anyway, so I just read the books that were on my TBR. So I thought it was, yeah, like I said in the beginning, this was a great excuse for me to finally read them. So as always, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much to the 2 people who will probably watch this movie. Thank you. Bye guys.